Okay, part two of the Ch1 Test 1. So we had the equation, I'll make it larger here so you can see it, x plus 4y squared equals 16. To find x-intercepts, we put in 0 for y. 4 times 0 would be 0, so that's gone, and it says x is 16. X is 16 when we put in 0 for y. That's a point, so it should be written as a point. Now to find y-intercepts, we have to let x equal 0. So in this equation, if I let x be 0, I have 4y squared equals 16. Now I can't take the square root. Oh, I could take the square root, but I'd have to take square root of 4 too. Also, so that would be 2y equals plus or minus 4, taking the square root. But that's not, and then divide by 2, and I get y equals plus or minus 2. But normally people would divide by 4 first, and we get y squared equals 4. Then take the square root both sides, and we get y equals, taking the square root, we've got to go plus or minus 2. Those are not points. I let x be 0, so I got to write them. 0, comma, y is 2, or 0, comma, negative 2. So now if I go to my graph, and I'll just draw a line here, and a line here. Since I got to be at 16, I'm going to make these 4 going this way. So I'll draw my vertical axis here, and I'm going to go 4, 8, 12, 16. So I better tell that that is 16. And I'll just do the same units here, 4, 8, 12. Okay? So it goes through 16, 0, 0, 2, and 0, negative 2. Now, what do we know on symmetry? Well, since, I should be saying this, since x will depend on the sign, it will change if the sign, x isn't squared or anything else that would change the sign, the graph isn't symmetric with y-axis. It's not symmetric this way. So it's not going to go through negative 16, and we didn't get a negative 16. But since the y is squared, it is symmetric with x-axis. So it's symmetric this way. Notice I said describe the features of the equation, and that's not squared and is squared. So that explains the symmetries. Now, to get the graph, we probably should need a few extra points. So, if I have this, I'm going to write it here so you can see it. If I have x plus 4y squared equals 16, I could put numbers in for x and find the matching y's, but it would probably be easier to put something in for y and find the matching x. So let's put in 1. So if I put in 1, y equal 1, or minus 1, plus or minus, it's not going to care for both of those because it's squared. I'm going to get x plus 4 times 1 squared is going to be 1, or minus 1 squared is going to be 1, equals 16, and then I can subtract the 4 and I get x equals 12. That means 2 points are 12 with a plus 1 and 12 with a minus 1. Now let's put in 3. We already did 2 for y. Let's put in 3. So if I put 3 in there, or minus 3, this becomes 9 times 4, 36. So I get x plus 36 equals 16. Subtract 36 and I get x equals negative 20. So I have negative 20 whether y is plus 3 or negative 20 whether y is negative 3. So minus 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, it's up at 3 and down at 3, and the equation, the graph looks like that. Oh, I didn't put on the 12, 1, and minus 1. And it's symmetric with the x-axis and not with the y-axis. Okay. This one says find the equation of a line with no y-intercept going through minus 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3. 1, 2, 3. With no y-intercept. If it goes this way, it hits the y-axis, and if it goes like this, it hits the y-axis. The only way you could do that is just to go straight up and down at minus 6. And on a line that's straight up and down, x is always, the x-coordinate is always minus 6. Doesn't matter what the y is, so that's the equation. Okay, number 4. We have a center that's 4 minus 2 and a radius that's 6. And it says the general form is if it has a center of hk and a radius r, the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So I'm going to write x minus, the h is 4, plus y minus k, and the k is a negative 2 squared equals, and the radius is 6, so 6 squared. And so if I go minus and minus, that's plus, and there's the standard form. Now to get the general form, we're going to actually square these. So x minus 4 times x minus 4. So I get x squared minus 4x minus 4x plus 16. I'm going to square the y plus 2. So I get y squared plus y squared plus 2y plus 2 more y, and 2 times 2 is plus 4, and 6 squared is 36. Now to get it in general form, it's supposed to be equal to 0, starting with x squared and y squared. So I have x squared, takes care of that one, y squared plus y squared. Then it says to put the x's. Minus 4 is minus 8 x's. Plus 2y, that's plus 4y. I have 16 and 4, that's 20. But I have to get 0 over here. So I have to subtract 36 from both sides. So I got 20 minus 36, which is negative 16 equals 0. And there's the general form. Okay, and finally 5. We have a general form here, pretty much, not quite. X squared plus y squared plus 4x minus y, and it's supposed to equal 10. Well, to be the standard form, if you look back here, it was minus 4, and this was minus 8x. This was a minus 2, and it was a plus 4y. Plus 4y had a minus 2 center. Minus 8x had a plus 4 center. So, there's this center doubled is this numbered in opposite and sign. Centered is doubled in opposite sign. So 2 doubled is 4, so the center's got to be minus 2. Remember, opposite and sign. What doubled is minus 1. That would be, and change the sign, so it would be plus 1/2. 1/2 plus 1/2 is negative 1. So the standard form must be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 1/2 squared equals, now I got to figure out what r squared is. So I'm going to multiply this out. X plus 2 times x plus 2 is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4. Multiply it out like you did this one, but with x plus 2. Y minus 1/2 is going to be, there's a plus here, y squared minus 1/2 y minus 1/2 is minus 1y, and minus 1/2 times minus 1/2 is plus 1/4, and that's supposed to equal r squared, what I have to put here. Now if I look at this and look at what they gave me, I see that I have an x squared, I have the y squared, I have the plus 4x, and the minus y, all of that's equal to 10. So those 10 plus 4 plus 1/4 is r squared. So that's 14 1/4 is what I have to put here. That's r squared. So the radius would be the square root of that. So I'm going to write that up here, square root of 14 1/4. Now, I need to graph this circle. So I'm going to draw my x-axis, my y-axis. I need to go to negative 2 plus 1/2. So if I make this be 1 and this be 1, now I've got my units on here so I know what the scaling is. Drawing the axis so that I know that this is 0, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and this is 1, 2, 3. So minus 2 1/2, up 1/2. Square root of 14 1/4. Let's figure that out. So on, second quit, clear square root of 14.25, probably easiest. It's a roughly 3.8. Approximately 3.8. Well, there's 0.5, or minus 2, let's just say. It's at minus 2, so if I go positive 3.8, that's 1, 2, 3.8 would be about there. If I go back 3.8, 1, 2, 3.8, it's going to take me back here. It's going to overlap my writing over here. If I go up 3.8, I'm up 1/2, so I have to go to 1.5 for 1, 2.5 for 2, 3.5 for 2, plus 0.8 is going to take it up to 4.3. If I go down 1, 2, 3, 0.5, 6, 7, 8. And then I want to draw a circle that hits those points. 1, 2, 3.8, yeah. 1, 2, 3.8. Not making a great circle here. Oop. Should have used a pencil so I can fix it, but that's the circle. I've given my units, and I've got the graph, and I've got the right radius. Radius is approximately 3.8.